does that make me?
January 23rd. And while he was being under dialysis at the hospital, his cardiologist told him that all of our options we couldn't do because a heart transplant wouldn't work because he's too old to undergo that. And the artificial heart, they didn't think he would make it through the surgery. And his doctor said that the damage to his heart was too great. He didn't have much longer to live. So he and my mom got all of us kids and the grandkids into the hospital room so they could tell us what was going on and what was said, and basically to prepare us for what was going to happen. I heard everything he said, but I chose to not accept what was being said. And told them they're getting a second opinion because I wasn't accepting it. And I remember becoming angry. And I shut down. I began to not be able to feel anything. February 22nd, he was supposed to come home for an at-home trial run. I'll see if he can maneuver around the house in a wheelchair pretty well. And we had everything set up for him to come home. We went out and got everything that we needed to help assist him. But that morning, I was trying to make it so I was there when he got home so I could be there when he was doing his trial run, but I had a doctor's appointment because in the wintertime I fell and landed on my knee pretty hard. And I neglected it because I was focusing on him, and I got a really nasty cold. And I didn't take care of that either because I was focusing more on whatever he needed. And so I was finally trying to take care of it. And I texted my mom, "Hey, how's it going? Did you guys leave yet to take Dad home?" After I texted, she called me and told me that I needed to stop whatever I was doing and go to St. Joe. And I get there and I met with one of the ladies of the rehab center. She was like one of the administrators. And then my uncle, who was there to help my mom get my dad into the car, there. And I thought it was weird at first, and then I was like, no, this is something a little more serious. And I looked at him and I was like, what's going on? He was like, you need to get to the room. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I start walking and he's like, I'm going to come with you. So I get to the room and we're not allowed to go inside. And my mom's sitting on a chair outside of the room, crying and breaking down. And the women who run the rehab center were sitting with her. And I was very confused at first. And then she just looked at me and she's like, the people in the fire department are in there taking care of your dad right now. I don't know anything. But it's not looking very good. He was doing fine and then suddenly he wasn't. So I start pacing, because that's what I do when I'm worried. And I turn around and the gentleman from the fire department walks out. He walks to my mom. And he says, I'm sorry, ma'am, I've tried for 45 minutes, but I could not bring him back. your husband is gone. So I do, at this point, break down and cry. And then I hug my mom. And she says, "What are we going to do now?" And I told her, "We're going to do as we always have. Everything's going to be okay." And I remember walking, when the fire department left, I remember walking into his room. I was the only one in there. And before he went into the hospital, he told us, "If I die, I'm not going to heaven. I'm sticking around because I want to see what happens here." So I went in there, and I don't even know why I said it, because at this point, I was still more questioning than a believer. And I told him, "You need to go to heaven. That's where you need to watch us from." And I said, "Please don't stay here." And as I'm looking down, I can feel him standing across from me, like he was waiting for me to come back into the room. And I felt as he accepted everything and he went home. And I got to feel him leave and go home. And there's no question in my mind now that there is heaven. I believe it 100%. I felt the power of Christ that day. And my dad waited to show me that everything he said was real and true. I decided that moment that I was a true believer and that Jesus died for our sins and rose to heaven. Since accepting Christ, my job has opened up a pretty awesome opportunity for me, which I can't take credit for. I've had a lot of help, mostly from God, I think. I know, mostly from God. I feel lighter as a person, like I don't have to carry all the burdens of the world anymore. I can lay it on somebody else a little bit. To me, the cross represents an overwhelming amount of love and sacrifice. That's a huge sacrifice to make for anybody, and he made it for all of us.
You make everything glorious. You make everything glorious. You make everything glorious, and I am yours. What does that make?